Hello, lovelies. Today's topic is a doozy. I want to talk to you about effectively communicating between men and women. This has been a challenge for many of us for generations. And so I want to give you some ideas and some strategies to apply to your relationships with your man or your lady so that you can better communicate with one another. And we all know that if we can communicate really healthily and safely with our significant others or even with our friends, that creates much better quality relationships and creates a lot more joy and peace within our relationships. So the first thing that I want you to really know and understand is that both men and women have both masculine and feminine energies living within us. So let me give you an example. In a 9-to-5 sort of corporate workplace, women are generally in their masculine energy at work because it's a matter of survival, and that's just how we operate. However, when we go home, we tend to shift back into our natural state, our feminine innate state, to be with our kids and our husbands and wives and what have you, our family members. And so that's our natural resting state. But in the workforce, we channel our masculine energy. And so the same is true for men. They have both masculine and feminine energies, and they come out at certain times. So that's the first thing that I want you to understand. Now, let's talk about men in the masculine energy. So think back to like hundreds and hundreds of years ago when we all basically like lived on the land. So there was tribes of men and women and children all living together. And so the man's job was of three main things: to provide for their family, to protect their family, and to procreate. And so the men would go out hunting and the women would be left with all the children, and they would all live and work together. And so think about the man that's out hunting. He's looking for an animal to hunt down, to bring back to provide for his family, right? That's his job, one of his jobs. So he's got, his spear out and he's seen an animal. In that moment, he can only be focused on one thing, and that is killing that animal to bring back to his family. Okay, so he's laser focused. That man cannot do anything else in that moment except focus on that animal in order to kill that animal to bring it home to provide for the family. He can't do anything else. And the same still sort of applies to this day in 2019. Ladies, if you have a man in your life, you know that you may be talking to him or something may be going on, but if he's on his phone or he's watching the game, he's tuned you out. He can't do generally more than one thing at a time, whatever that thing may be. And so that's a really important fact to know. So the women who are listening to this, if you have to speak to your significant other and he's in the middle of doing something and he's not focused on you, that is not the time to go into a deep and meaningful conversation, because you will not get what you need in that moment. So it's really important to know. Now, let's flip it and think about the women back in the tribe, okay? So the men are out hunting, all the women are together, all the wives and the mothers are together with the children. There could be hundreds of children and even hundreds of women, and they're all working together. All the women are looking after all the children together, whether they are their children or not. And so back in the day, the women were gatherers. They would just all gather together and they would work together to look after their community. And it was their job to have a diffused spectrum. So what that means, as opposed to the men that are focused on one thing, the women had to know everything that was going on around them. They had to keep eye on all the children and their entire community to make sure that when the men came back, everybody and everything was in its place, right? So that's why now, again in 2019, women generally are able to multitask and focus on different things at any given time, because historically, that's how we were raised. That's how we lived. We had to have one eye and one ear on the kid over there, and one eye and one kid on the kid over there, right? So we are just genetically made up to be able to have that diffuse spectrum so that we can keep abreast of everything that's going on. So knowing that, men and women generally communicate differently and can focus differently. So that's really important when it comes to communicating with a man or a woman. So I've got some notes here. I'd rather be authentic with you than be perfect, because I don't want to forget anything. So let's think about the masculine energy. the masculine energy needs two main things. It needs to feel respected and it needs to be free, right? So ladies, if you want to change your man, or if you do end up changing your man, what's going to happen is that you're no longer going to respect him. So you have to accept him for exactly who he is and understand these concepts so you can understand how he operates, okay? The feminine energy, on the other hand, requires feeling presence from their partner, requires feeling safe from their partner. So ladies, if you need to have a conversation with your man, make sure that he's not focused on one thing that's really intriguing him, whether it's his phone, the TV, he's reading, he's in the middle of a project in the garage, whatever it may be, because again, he's not going to be able to focus on you. So if you do have a really important conversation that you need to have, it's important that you set that up, like set that situation up. Tell your man, I need to speak to you, there's something really important that I need to get off my chest, and make that time, create that space to have that conversation that's uninterrupted and that he's focused only on you, right? That's really important. So it's important that you do this, because then you're shifting him out of that masculine and into that feminine energy state where he's present for you and he's going to be able to focus on you and what you're talking about. And so let's think about what you're talking about. So let's say that you've got something really important to speak to him about. You need to preface what you need. So if you just want him to listen, you need to say so before you get started. Saying, I've got something, I just need to vent, I need to get off my chest, I just want you to listen. Or if you've got a problem and you want him to help you fix it, you need to preface it the same way and say, I have a problem, I need you to help me, I need your opinion, I need your advice, I need your input, right? Or if there's something that needs his specific input, or that he needs to do something specifically, preface that as well. So whatever it is that you need, tell him in advance. Do not assume that he's going to work it out based on your emotions, based on your words. None of that. Don't ever make any assumptions. You have to preface what you need from him before you start going into that conversation. That's super duper important, because like I said, men are single focused. They're not going to be able to wade through everything that you're saying to understand what you need. And you may be married for 20 years. Doesn't mean because your man knows you really well that he's going to know what you need every single time you have an important conversation with him. So I want you to think about that, right? Next time you're having a conversation with your significant other, are you ensuring that A, he's present and that he's really giving you what you need because you've prefaced it accordingly? So I wanted to share that with you, because when you know these small little tidbits about men and women and our masculine and feminine energy and how we've got either, single focus or diffused focus, it makes all the world of difference when you're trying to have a really important discussion. So again, my whole mantra is knowledge without implementation equals nothing. So if you're in a relationship, or if you've got friends that are of the opposite sex to you and you're having these communication difficulties, apply this knowledge to those situations. And I promise you're going to see a brand new set of outcomes from just setting up the conversation in a way where you're in your feminine, they're in their feminine, or masculine, it can be that too, but they're fully present and focused on you as you have that conversation. So if you're finding this information really helpful, I invite you to head over to my website at julieCkelly.com. I've got tons of resources there available to you, all for free. Go and check them out, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.